it would be good to learn a little bit more about a customer's options after they've purchased the property on a shared ownership scheme. And I'm thinking particularly to two things really. What about if they want to remortgage? And what happens when they come to sell the property? Are there things that people need to be aware of?
Remortgaging within shared ownership is, to all intents and purposes, the same, and we would encourage it. Making sure that the interest rate that you're paying is the best one that you can achieve at that point is no different, however, whatever way you've purchased your property. So it's a very normal thing to do to review your rate to look at that. There are some slight differences in what you can do at that point though, which I know a lot of people are always quite interested in. One of the first things is the ability to staircase, and quite literally as it sounds, it's climbing up in the amount of shares that you own. So if, for instance, you bought a property and you were able to purchase a 40% share, it might be that in 2 years' time, when your rate comes to an end, when you look at it with a fresh set of eyes and different income, different scenario, house prices have changed, that actually you could afford to buy 50% at that point. That's a great natural time within the process to be able to step up and buy a bit more of that property. The good thing, though, is that that's not mandatory. So you could remain a 40% owner of that property for the rest of your life if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody going to be breathing down your neck saying you must buy more, or you've got to sell the property to move on because you could afford to buy in the open market. That's entirely up to you when you do that. The only difference, and something that's worth mentioning, is that shared ownership doesn't allow for capital raising. So on the open market, I know that a lot of the time people will remortgage to pay off debts and unsecured things like that. That doesn't work within shared ownership because of some of the agreements in the background of shared ownership that mean that the lender is secured. So unsecured borrowing and the kind of wrapping up of that within your mortgage isn't allowed within shared ownership. But changing your rate, reducing your term, buying a bit more, they're all exactly the same as you would do on the open market. And it's a swift, easy, straightforward thing to do. In the same way as selling your property, the only slight change is that in the first instance, go back to your housing association. Housing associations like Aster are fantastic at having a team that are dedicated to reselling the property for you. They'll invariably have lists of people that are waiting to buy a shared ownership property. So from that point of view, it's really helpful, because a lot of the time when you want to sell your property, it's easier than going to an estate agent. It's easier than organising all of that. Your housing association will grab the reins, know exactly what to do, get your property marketed, and if they can, they'll sell it for you. After that period of time has been spent, and that's anything at the moment, it's 8 weeks at the moment, but it will be reducing down to 4 weeks going forward. After that point, you're free to put that property on the market in the normal way, and somebody can come in and they can buy that property at the share that you own. They could staircase up a little bit if they wanted to. They could buy a slightly bigger share. There's lots of options, which makes selling a shared ownership property a really easy and actually more attractive proposition a lot of the time.